Morning folks, Kevin here. Well, it's December 27th, 2025, a couple days after Christmas. I hope everybody had a really nice Christmas holiday and all. Weather's been pretty tough all over the country this last 24 hours, really interrupting travel conditions for folks and all. We're in central New York here. We only got about 5 inches of snow, it looks like, but really dense, heavy snow, not that fluffy stuff that we're so familiar with. And well, I hope everybody's doing okay. There's flooding on the west coast, pretty cold conditions, and snow conditions like this up around here can be very slippery with this temperature, so the roads won't be too clear. We're supposed to have a little bit of a warm-up in a couple of days. Possibly some freezing rain as well. Who knows? I haven't posted a video in a couple of days. You know, I've been trying to take it easy a little bit. My headaches are better, my sinuses are a bit better, but I did do some work in the shop, and I'll make a video about that soon, hopefully. Anyways, yeah, today I'm gonna get in Optimus Maximus, the Grand L6060 Kubota tractor with this snowblower mounted on the front. Gonna do some snow blowing, open things up. Usually when it's 5 inches I don't even bother, but when Thea went out this morning to go out to the bird feeder and all, it was so dense she couldn't pick up a shovel full. She had to tip the shovel over and all. So yeah, it's real heavy snow. I just did some shoveling at both ends here. Not expecting any snow today, and the winds are relatively calm right now, so that makes it a little bit easier to do some of the work and all. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got to do some composting today as well. Bring material out to the leaf mold compost pile. And I got a couple of new roof shovels that will go for the solar panels. I got to snug up some fittings on those. I got those in. I got one in yesterday and one the day before Christmas Eve. So anyways, yeah, so I got some things to do today. These snow blowing videos take so darn long, I'll probably just show some of the snow blowing in this video. Anyways, appreciate you folks watching. I hope y'all are staying safe this holiday season, and got the big New Year's Day event coming up soon. Anyways, gonna get to work now. Vents are open. I'm gonna have to clean the inside of this windshield here. PTO on. Medium low. Actually, okay, we'll see how things go here today. This is a Grand L6060, also known as Optimus Maximus cab tractor. I think 5 years old now, and the blower on the front is a Kubota L4479. It's hooked to a auto hitch system on it, so you could have a broom or a flail mower on the front of it. Certainly, if you're living in snow country and the only thing you use it for, you don't need this auto hitch, which I invested in thinking someday I'd get the flail mower on the front, but you know, it wasn't necessary. Now I love this whole unit. This is fantastic. But it's a little added expense. Maybe someday I'll get the broom, who knows. there's other attachments since I have other equipment that I am interested in getting, which I'll be sharing as I get other equipment as time goes on here. Getting a little foggy in here. Yeah, this is only like 5 inches of snow here that I can see so far. But it is dense and heavy snow. Trying to get the fog cleaned up from in front of one of these cameras here. So we have had some decent windstorms here recently, and so I did pick up some branches out there that had come in the driveway and all. I'm nervous whenever we've had a thaw, because we did have a thaw a little while ago. I think I'll close these two here. No, that's okay. I think I'll close those two off and see if I can get more air flowing around the windshield here. I got the fan going full blast for the heater. And the temperature's starting to come up now. So as some of you know, he and I are both own Teslas. Had Tesla since 2020. Bought Thea the Model Y in 2020 because it's the safest car ever made. And the Cybertruck now is the safest truck that's ever been made. And which is really fantastic. And the reason I got it was because of the safety aspects for the Model Y in 2020. And I'll tell you, in China, kind of bizarre. We just saw this morning. A man went off a cliff, went over 800 meters, 2,600 feet, a little more than that, and survived, walked away with some bumps and bruises and some scratches. You know, some things are just amazing. And there's lots of photos of it online in case anybody wants to see it. I saw it on X, formerly Twitter. And I'll tell you something, boy, that's just makes me feel better about investing in safe vehicles, because as you get older, you don't bounce back, things break more easily. He has got osteoporosis, and having a vehicle, you know, the A pillar and B pillars never collapsed with this horrific falling off a cliff. And I don't know the details, it's all written in Chinese. Doing up next to the back of the garage here right now. You know, I don't know, after having our lives and hearing the stories of friends and family that have been in horrible car accidents, you know, you just think, you always got to be aware of what the other driver is doing. And you know, Teslas just keep getting safer and safer. That's why we bought the new 2026 Model Y. And of course, the full self-driving, my God, it's getting so good. The only thing that I could see that could be an issue up here in the north, because it drives almost perfectly, I'm not going to say perfectly, up here in the snow where you can't see the road, it's just someone else's tire tracks at best. Trying to make sure I don't go running into anything here. And I'll go ahead. Go ahead again. You know, it does extremely well. Pulls into the garage, pulls out of the garage. It's just getting better and better as time goes on. And there's still bugs to work out. But what is the one issue that I see where we live is the camera's getting dirty. Because there's salt and sand on the roads, and that stuff can cover up your windshield, cover up your, as people know up here, and cover up your cameras. And full self-driving, Teslas require the ability for the cameras to be able to see. You know, using 8 cameras to see where you are in space. And it does such an amazing job. The evolution of their capabilities exceeds what I thought was the best case scenario up here in the north. Because I thought when you can't see the road, you can't really see where it is, that it would go off the shoulder or go into the oncoming lane. It's just not doing that. Just amazing. Now, the full self-driving did think that it was pulling into our driveway the other day with one of the new versions and wanted to pull into our neighbor's driveway. So it's not perfect yet, but as far as safety goes, it sees things that we don't see, or it sees potentials for a collision earlier than we do, which is, I can't ask for anything more than that. It avoids accidents that maybe we wouldn't have been able to avoid ourselves. Now the glass is getting cleaned better. You know, I'm always talking about investing in ourselves. You know, when you're very young, developing excellent skills that will benefit you, whether it's the marketability. Nowadays, becoming an entrepreneur and finding ways of generating multiple streams of income so that you're covered. You know, the whole thing with college nowadays, man, I just think it can be a real waste of money for what you're getting out of college nowadays, unless you're going for a profession that requires licensure. But what people are teaching and some of the Ivy League, you know, Cornell, you know, which I'm so proud that we graduated from, but it was a totally different world than what it is today. And yeah, It's a different world today. So investing in yourselves. You know, there's a few things I really wish, I mean, things that aren't taught in high school or college, which really falls onto the parents nowadays. You know, certain basic finance stuff. That's so important. Understanding civics, understanding our Constitution, understanding the amendments. Because right now, if you're just relying on the media to tell you, to keep you informed, well, you're only going to get the nonsense that they want to tell you. And that is a shame. And maybe it always was that way to a certain extent. But when I was young, you know, 60 Minutes was one of those shows that you could rely on, or at least I believed in, which I no longer have any faith in. My God, the nonsense that they put out nowadays, all of the misinformation is frustrating. And I'm just mentioning 60 Minutes because at one time I thought that that was the source, waiting for Mike Wallace to come on and give us in-depth reporting about what's going on with Enron or whatever it may be. And, you know, not relying on these sorts of resources and always doing your own research later on is so important. Yeah. Understanding, learning critical thinking, developing the skills as a critical thinker. You know, I can't think of his name. There's a well-known trainer of many government security agencies. His name is Casey. I can't think of his last name right now. And you know, he talks about PSYOPs, psychological operations to guide people's thinking and beliefs that are to the best advantage of whatever government agency or corporation wants you to think. And not relying on any individual resource for information is so important. And certainly, I don't know, academia has changed so much over the years that I think it's a huge waste of time and money. But wasting someone's 4 years of their life going to college and getting fed so much misinformation and not being taught any of the basics about critical thinking, about civics, about the logical fallacies. All of those things, what a waste. Not even, you know, we have all this social geopolitical indoctrination that's going on, but the college students can't tell you where the place is on the map. That they haven't done the critical thinking. They're relying on people of authority, which are their professors. And I'm just going on a bit of a rant today. Yeah, that's what y'all wanted to hear. Oh, Lord. Just been a little frustrated lately with all of the misinformation that's constantly being disseminated and all the fraud. My God almighty. You know, I talk about Teslas, and if you hate Elon Musk, I love Elon Musk. We love Elon Musk. Thank God he bought Twitter and is X now, and doing Grokpedia and those things. Just trying to get facts out there and having community checkers check the information that's being put in those sites. Okay, temperature's up now. The winds were pretty intense the other day. One of the IBC bladders that we're using for tree protection for the Japanese maples blew off. Like when you see on TV the trampolines blowing off into the going airborne, sort of like that. So I don't know how much blowing I'm going to do today because, well, it's supposedly going to warm up and maybe freezing rain and some rain depending on where we're located. And it won't be until, so today's Saturday, the 27th. It won't be until next week. Try and maneuver here so I don't wipe something out while I'm doing this stuff. So I don't, often I'll clean out all different areas around it, like here, in front of that overhead door. But if it's going to warm up, I don't know that it's worth me spending that time and energy doing that. Fortunately, the winds are calm today, and the snow isn't deep. It is dense and heavy. So I can throw that snow where I want it right now, and it isn't blowing back on the windshield here. At least it isn't just yet. Well, no sooner do I say that, I've had people comment on this tractor and this blower here. It is amazing. I wish the fan inside of the cab was a little bit more powerful. I mean, it's great for, it's the best cab I've ever been in. And heating system, the Avant 860i, the heater in that is, the heater's good, but it's the fan isn't that great. So having a really good fan that's powerful enough to utilize all of the ventilation ports, I think is really important. I'm going over some of these small branches here, which must have come down last night. There's part of an oak there with enough leaves on it there, I guess. Yeah, this tractor is just amazing. Well, I am picking up some of the rocks from the last thaw. I'm throwing those out there. Fingers crossed I don't shear any pins. God dang it, there's rocks I guess I kicked up here, by golly. So before the big thaw, I had a nice pack there that was nice and solid. And when things thaw out, well, not great. And some of it is when, so we had a lot of Amazon deliveries recently. And when it's soft, they'll dig in and spin out if they're in a hurry. And that kicks up some stuff. I can't complain, although I do, huh? So the workshop rebuild is going to take some time. I was really hoping to get the replacement panels for the overhead door on the west side of the workshop, the southwest side, so that I can get the Hulk over in that side. Is having two large pieces of equipment, the green machine and the Hulk in the center of the building with everything, all the other tools that are there. It just takes up so much space, and it's a real pain moving things because I do want to. Oh, there I was right there. Because I do want to get the plywood ceiling started, and that's pretty important. So the plywood is a 1/2-inch plywood that's stacked up back there, and that plywood needs to be adhered to the bottom cord truss from the underside. And so you have a couple of different, so we really want it, that really enhances the structural integrity from shear forces, trying to twist the building some. And we really wanted those shear forces to be neutralized by adhering that plywood to the underside of the trusses, the bottom cord of the trusses. And so what's the best fastener to use in order to decrease the shearing forces that'll be acting on the building? Well, nails, like maybe some ribbed nails, ringed nails that can be used. Of course, I'm telling this story as I'm right here trying to move around here. And that'll really help with the shear forces using the nails. Going underneath the soffit here, or the overhang. And that's why I'm not talking too much, just trying to pay attention to what I'm doing here. But I also want the something different than the shear forces, the pull forces. So if I've got to get up there and I don't stand on the appropriate locations, or I slip and land in between the bottom cords of the trusses when I'm above the trusses, well, I really want to have increased pull-through reinforcement. So that really requires like deck screws. You certainly don't want to use drywall screws. They're so hard, so rigid, they'd snap so easy. So using a coated deck screw, like a 2-inch number 8 deck screw, in conjunction with nails, I think is the best bet. So that's my plan. And of course, all these fasteners, I had all these fasteners before the building collapsed, but unfortunately, so many of them ended up in dumpsters and all. I've got quite a few, but not enough to do the building the way I had it before. I could have easily have done all the ceilings and the sidewalls. So I guess the point that I wanted to make here is understanding the reasoning behind. Take my gloves off here. And I'm getting a little too hot here. The reasoning behind why putting 1/2-inch plywood on the underside. Now my brother Dave, he's an engineer, he's the one who mentioned this, to really help increase the structural integrity of the workshop so I don't have another collapse again in the future. Then doing the research, trying to see, well, what are the best fasteners to accomplish two things: the shear forces, those are the lateral forces and all. Well, the nails would be the best because screws are harder and can snap. They can just break right off and defeat the whole, especially if there's forces applied after different times. So cumulatively over time, after enough events where there's tremendous forces applied to the building, could be 10, 20 years, well, some of those screws could get snapped, and therefore we've decreased the shear force structural integrity of the whole reason for putting the plywood on as a base, because many people will just use a metal ceiling, which I think is awesome. It looks good, it goes up quickly, it's less expensive, but it doesn't increase the structural integrity of the structure, especially you live in an area where you're going to have uneven snow loads, high winds, possibility of a piece of equipment bumping into the building. So myself, I feel really confident that that won't happen, but you never can tell. As I get older, somebody else could bump into the building. So we want to minimize the amount of damage to the building. And damage, I mean that unseen damage that's occurred, but it's like an underlying illness. Wasn't detectable on first examination. Anyways, I thought I'd explain that because when I start putting the plywood up, which hopefully will be pretty soon, but I really need to get the hulk out of that section of the workshop, so I'm not getting that out of the green machine multiple times, warming each piece of equipment up so I can do these things. And that way I'll have more room, because it's going to take a lot of space, because it's a 16-foot tall ceiling in that central section of the building. The 10-foot section, no biggie. But I had to get the extended height to my panel lift, which got me up to about 14 feet. But then I had to get another 18-inch. It got up to maybe 15 feet. Then I had to get another 18-inch pole on top of that, which means that in order to put the piece of plywood on the panel lift, it's about 7, maybe 8 feet off the ground to put it on top of the panel lift, where it'd be about 4.5 feet or 3 feet if you tilt the side down, which you're not able to do when it's so far up over your head. Now granted, 1/2-inch plywood is pretty light material, but I'm not that strong anymore. And I'm certainly not strong enough and balanced enough to be able to do that on a ladder. So that's where I've got to figure out a mechanism to load that 1/2-inch plywood onto the panel lift, which most people would see using the panel lift as far as putting drywall on a ceiling. And you'll see that in future videos if you're not sure what I'm talking about. But that got beat up quite a bit in the building. So many things that have to be replaced or repaired or cleaned and repainted. Just how things go. Now supposedly, according to the resource information that we've received, the insurance company has agreed to one of the proposals from our public adjusters. Man, the rocks are just shooting out of here, all the small gravel. It's small stuff here. But we haven't received the checks yet, so looking forward to getting some money back, because I'm constantly like just buying the materials, buying the fasteners, replacing tools, and repairing tools. Like one of my pneumatic nailers, it's just blowing air out of some orifice, but it was so cold, I'm not sure where the problem was, and and I don't really have a good workshop to sit down and break equipment down like I had before. It's just it's just challenging. Always makes me a tad nervous working up here. I got to turn the four-way flashers on again. Our road isn't that busy this time of year because the gravel mine isn't hauling gravel after a storm like this. And for the most part, the gravel trucks are really good with the one company. But the other company, I'll tell you, sometimes they just blast down here. So we have two gravel mines right next door to each other here on our right next to our property. One right next to our property did all that clear cutting not too long ago. Broke my heart. It was one of those things when the town used to own that property, and but at that time we were still trying to build as much financial capital as possible. We're still trying to do that. But we put in bids for it, and we lost the bid. And of course, it's a relative of who was the town supervisor at the time. It's supposed to be sealed bids. You just gotta wonder were they actually sealed bids? But anyways, it is what it is. You can't control other people, what they're gonna do. And you can even have the best neighbor in the world, but you never know if they're going to sell, they're going to die, they leave it to their kids, goes through a divorce. You know, it's just so many things happen over the years. You just never know. The town right closest to us here, or the city closest to us here, ran on the news the last several days because of their property taxes going up. Now their taxes were going to go up by 30% was their initial proposal. And that's tough for people trying to make ends meet. Really tough. And so they got it down to 11 something, under 12%. But that for some people is, well, it's going to hurt them big time. I got to stop here because usually I'll just flash this right around these lamps, but with all the stones I'm kicking up right now, you probably can't hear them, but they're shooting out of here like crazy. Guess I don't need that wiper going so full tilt boogie right now. God dang it, dug in too deep there, got soft. And a lot of this old snow that's packed in here with a lot of stone and all. Gotta be real careful over here because when they put in this water line here, they have this hydrant, I don't know, at least 8-10 inches below what the soil surface was before, so it just drops right down in there, unfortunately. Always keeping an eye out for vehicles and snow plows. And down here. Fortunately, we didn't get a lot of snow. Real happy with that. Gotta make the mailman happy here. Now we can make some driveway passes here. It's always a question that I have when I'm snow blowing. What's the weather going to be next? And we have the possibility of rain and then freezing rain. And what's that going to do to our ability to walk and to drive, or to safely be able to get out back to clean off the solar panels? All of those sorts of things. And I could see as I'm going now, right now I'm not kicking up a bunch of rocks, but the shoes on the snowblower that keep the blade from being right dead on the ground level, it kicks it up a little bit. Works fantastic when you've got good, if you're on pavement or if you're on really good solid ground. But it doesn't work so well when we have a condition like that, because those little shoes dig in a little bit and they kick up a rock just enough. Well, and I can feel them getting kicked up. I can see them right after the shoe. And that's what I'm going to run into next time. I'll be blowing those. See, I just kicked up a rock over there, a rock about that big around. And so always got to be real careful where that chute is pointed. You sure as heck don't want to have one of those that go right through the siding of the house, you know, the vinyl siding, go right through any glass window or door, put a hell of a dent in your steel garage doors or your steel entrance doors. So in this area, it's only 5 inches. I wonder how deep it is out back. We'll have to see. So though we had a couple of snowstorms, this isn't too bad for this point in time. Almost the end of December. I can remember it being much, much worse than this. Yeah, I'm not going to widen it out anymore today. Turn off the 4-way flashers here. Go a little faster, kick her up into high here. Still in medium, but instead of being in turtle mode. And you may be able to see ahead of us there the shoe marks from each side of the snowblower itself. So, as far as snow blowing goes, this is going very well so far today. Fingers crossed. It's really nice that it's not real windy. And it's very dense snow. Oh, Dia's out doing some shoveling here, getting her exercise. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and turn that down some. I've got to rework this whole roadway here. The width of the road is about what I'm doing it right now. But this whole area needs to be completely reworked. I'm going to redo the garden some this next year. Before I know it, it will be next year. And I gotta say, we've gotten a hell of a lot done this year, considering in February that building went down. And so many hours trying to demo that building and salvage everything that we could salvage, prep the area out back, digging up the area where the shipping containers would go, hauling in all the stone, multiple loads of stone. Yeah, I gotta say, we got a lot done this year. And we got some building done. Didn't go as well as I would like it to have gone with the Amish. I was hoping that some of their skills were better, you know, not missing, you know, it's really weren't the Amish gentlemen, it were the other gentlemen that were working with them that just didn't do quite as good a job making sure the plywood was securely nailed to the 2x6 walls, getting the trusses perfectly aligned. And maybe I'm just too anal retentive with everything. I don't know. So I think I mentioned previously that Henry had called and wanted to come out this last Monday. And I was still trying to deal with the big snowstorm that we had, a couple of feet, a little over 2 feet of snow. And I said, no, we're not going to be ready. I'd rather wait till spring. He says, well, we're really getting booked up for spring, which is kind of disappointing. You'd think he'd take care of the jobs first that he'd already started, that they'd take priority. But maybe that isn't the way. He's trying to keep as little snow going in the building as possible. Trying to get this snow directed down into Pond 6 now. Recently we did a walk of the, I drove, but I took a good look at each one of the 10 man-made ponds and the beaver ponds. Just dumping that snow right into Pond 6. Now all of the ponds are overflowing now. Throw the snow over here to the other side, right? Okay, so now I'm going to redirect the snow over here to the swale. So I'm going to change the angle down, turn it over here, maybe a little further down. Oops. There we go. So I don't want to throw it over as far as the shipping containers, but when this snow melts, I don't like putting it on this side of the roadway in general. And the main reason is the winds come out of the west. So I usually try to throw it to the east so that when the winds kick up, it doesn't drift back into the roadway. Really important concept. However, the forecast is saying that we're going to have some warm weather and that there's going to be some rain and freezing rain.
I was raised on gravel roads and worn out gloves. Learned early nothing's free, even grace and love. Split my share of firewood, fixed what I could mend. Watched the seasons teach me how all things been. I didn't have it easy, didn't need it that way. Hard days made sense of the light of day. I'm just a simple country boy, but I figured it out somehow. There's never been a better time than being alive right now. Yeah, it's good to be alive at this moment in time, with dirt on my boots and truth on my mind. I've seen storms knock roofs down, seen neighbors rise again, seen broken ground turn fertile with a little work and faith in men. I don't need much to know just how blessed I am to be alive right now. I've lived through power outages and engines that wouldn't start, through days when the world felt heavy on my heart. But I've also watched machines do what hands once couldn't do, watched ideas travel farther than a fence line ever knew. I've seen old ways meet new life, steel and soil finally working right. From chainsaws to satellites, from seeds to clouds somehow. Tell me when was better than being alive right now. Yeah, it's good to be alive at this moment in time, where sweat still matters and so does a mind. I've seen quiet lives outwork loud men, seen truth stand taller than trends now and then. I don't need much to know just how lucky I am to be alive right now. I've walked through years when I didn't fit the mold, felt too slow, too different, or so I was told. But time has a way of sorting the grain from the chaff, turns the boy who struggled into the man who lasts. Now I see the world clear, no bitterness left, just gratitude earned, not borrowed or kept. I know who I am, and I know how to live right here, alive right now. We got more answers than we've ever had before, but it still comes down to opening the door, to responsibility, to work, to care, to standing your ground and showing up fair. History's watching, whether we choose or not. This is our moment. This is our shot. Yeah, it's damn good to be alive at this moment in time, with calloused hands and a reason to try. I've seen nature remind us who's in control, and human grit turn broken into whole. I don't need much, just here and now. Thank God I'm alive right now. I may be a simple country boy, that part's true, but I know how to live, and I know what's true.
Well, things went fairly well today. Didn't have to snow blow as much today because up around in here, the front of the property, only 5 inches of snow I think that we got. Out back, about 8 inches. I think the reason that it's less here than out back is because of the winds. The winds were constantly whipping. It wasn't high winds, but it was enough to keep the snow on the roofs pretty low and blow it over into the forest areas as well, or into the ponds. So pretty well. I didn't do as much snow blowing as I usually would do. Man, I'll tell you, I'm digging down, especially back here. All those rocks are popping up, the shoes are hitting them, and you know, amazingly, I didn't shear a pin. But if I do have to hit back here, I'll probably use the Hulk. I didn't do the solar panels today. I didn't clean out around the shipping containers, so there's a lot more that would be done if I wasn't thinking about the thaw and some rain and all that. If we do get freezing rain, I'll have less of a slippery chance here, and it'll be easier for me to clean up the snow out back if it's ice on top of the snow, if that makes sense and all. So anyways, things went pretty well. Pretty happy with that. It's lunchtime now, so I'm watching a deer. And he's just watching me. Okay. Well, I hope you folks stay safe. Take care. Enjoy the holiday weekend here, or weekend, yes. Oh, good Lord. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe. Take care, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye now.